List.io.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Episode 81 of the Erick and Brad Show. Episode 81. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Pandora, all the above. Erick and Brad Show at gmail.com. Erick and Brad Show at gmail.com. This is episode 81. We like to announce the creation of a GoFundMe for the show and Erick's personal OnlyFans. And the goal for both of these is just to raise enough money for us to pay for gas for our vehicles. Getting gouged at the pump. Just getting gouged at the pump. Come on, Joe. Come on, Joey B. Just getting gouged at the pump. Episode 81, how's it going, man?
Great. Come on, Joe, and come on me on my new OnlyFans, you know?
Sign up now. Oh, man.
Well, we're in the 80s now. How long do you think we can do the 80s? Think we can drag this? I think we can drag it on about 4 to 5 months.
Yeah, a year from now will be episode 100, so save the date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how's Bradley doing on this beautiful day?
Fucking hot, man. I'm warm. I'm currently sitting in a sauna. And there's women all around me in the studio right now doing hot yoga, and we're just sweating together. We're all just fucking sweating. It's like 50 degrees now here in the worst state in the country.
That's a heat wave right there.
Yeah, yesterday I was getting the bug. I was like, I just started cleaning, deep cleaning shit, and
Everyone
I'm like looking around my house, and I'm just like, I want to get rid of like half of the shit that I own, and just start chucking it, just throwing it out, and just downsize. It's so nice. I was throwing away old work boots and all kinds of shit. I'm like, just fucking get it out. So that's how I'm feeling.
I think it's in the air. I mean, obviously, springtime, you know, that's the old adage, you know, spring cleaning, that type of thing. Mm-hmm. I've never felt like I fall into that category. Like, I don't have that spring, I got to change my life type deal during spring, maybe. You know, maybe I do and I don't notice it. I do notice in the wintertime, you know, you just slow down no matter what. It just gets all dark outside and you just, ugh. But I mean, I felt like it's been fall and I'll start fucking tearing shit apart. Just like, we're tearing this mother down. But anyways, It must be in the air.
It seems like when the weather changes, I sort of just start recognizing things around the house that I'm not using. And they're like illuminated and I'm like, this shit has to go. Get this old carpet the fuck out of here and go buy a new one. And just fucking revamp.
Yep. But it must be in the air because Cheyenne is going. She's been going ape shit, and it's irritating to me.
Productive though.
I don't like.
It feels
has
productive.
nothing. It has nothing to do with Cheyenne. It's literally anyone I'm ever around, unless I really know them and I know that they're really handy. Whenever they start a project that somehow I am going to be involved in, no matter how much they say, like, you don't have to do anything, this is my project. It's like, well, inevitably, this is going to become my project because I'm going to have to finish it, or I'm going to have to fix what's happening here. And nothing against Cheyenne. She wants to be handy. She wants to create, and you know, more power to it.
Yeah.
But like last year, she started repainting 10 feet of fence, maybe 15 feet of fence, painting it all white. That shit took fucking 3 months before that fence was finished painted white. Wow. It irritated the shit out of me because I'm like, you're not seeing how intricate, once you get to that archway, that shit's going to take a long time because there's a lot of boards there and you're painting it by hand. That is going to take a really long time. And she's like, no, whatever. But
that's nothing wrong with her, though. That's something wrong with you.
I guess. But it irritates me when projects just set undone. But
right
now, you know, I'm not home. I'm in Denver. And the last 3 weeks has been constant. and she doesn't like, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. It's just like, well, what do you think about, countertops? Like, what do you think about the, blah, 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 blah. But they're already torn apart. By the time I hear, hey, what do you think about this? All the linoleum has been ripped off the countertops. You know what I mean? Like, she's already done it. Fucking, she doesn't tell me a project's. She knows by now. She knows that I will talk her out of projects. Yeah. Or, so she just starts them. She's like, I don't give a shit what you say, So she started this whole countertop project, which I said from the get-go, it just doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense to me. Like, why change the countertops? This is a shitty house. I don't get it. We're going to put granite in here, and nothing's going to look better than what we had, blah, 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 blah. Cool. She's been on a rampage. But then the other day, she's like, hey, God, how'd she word it? She said something. Because she didn't ask for permission. She's just like, and she didn't ask where it was. I can't remember how she worded it. But I'm like, wait, what are you talking about? She's like, the table saw. I'm like, you are not using a fucking table saw. And she's just like, well, why? I used it on the fence you built. And I was just like, send a message. I feel like a dick, but it's like, if I'm not there, you're not using a table saw. I'm sorry. Like, I feel like an asshole, but you're not doing it. I've legitimately met women that have cut their fingers off using a table saw. So let's not use any table saws, especially because I tear all the safety shit off of all my tools. So it's not up to OSHA compliance on my table saw. There is no guard on my table saw. That shit's just sticking out right there. And it's not one of those that you stick a little hot dog in and it fucking zooms down when it hits the hot dog.
I hate those videos. Fuck that.
So...
Oh, I've met men. I know men that have cut their fingers off with one. So, not
just women. Yes. And so, but then what even made me less confident is I just put my foot down. I'm like, babe, I know I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. You're not allowed to use the table saw. No. Don't use the fucking table. Not unless I'm there to properly give you a real tutorial on how to use it. You're not allowed to use it. And I was like, and I hate to say it, you're also not allowed to use the skill saw. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be a misogynist piece of shit, but I've had multiple guys show up on jobs that you watch them use a skill saw and you're like, whoa. You stop what you're doing right now. We're going to go through a whole tutorial on how to use a fucking skill saw because you're going to fucking hurt somebody. Probably yourself.
Yeah.
So I shut that down and then I thought about what she said and I'm like, you never used a table saw when we were doing the fence. I never even brought my table saw out. And I'm like, are you talking the chop saw? And she's like, yeah, the saw. And I'm like, you don't even know the difference between the saws, and you're trying to use saws. So I was like, no, we're shutting this shit down right now. I'm sorry, you got to find a different way to do what you're doing, or wait for me to come back. I'll be back in 2 weeks, babe.
Yeah.
You can wait to use power tools.
Yeah, it's not that urgent. But when you get the idea, you're just like, we got to do this today.
No, and I get that. But
it's not that urgent.
I am an insane person like that. If I get an idea, it's happening right fucking now. Yeah, we froze there for a little bit, but I think everything will work out. Yeah, when I did an amp project, the guitar amp, and I tore it all apart and redid the whole box. And I did it really nice. Like I routed the edges all in so they like inset and made it just perfect. Sanded it, stained it. I did that in one day, 14 hours. I did that whole box just because I wouldn't leave. I didn't eat. Fucking 5 p.m. I realized I hadn't eaten anything but a coffee and a bowl of cereal. You know what I mean? So I get it. I get tweaking, but yeah. So it's in the air.
It's definitely in the air. It's going to continue for me through this weekend. I'm going to get rid of some shit. And it was 2 days ago I went to the doctor and got a bunch of blood work done.
Uh-oh.
Which I do like once a year. And
just to make sure you don't got AIDS or anything like that?
Yeah, AIDS is the main one I asked to get tested for.
Yeah.
But the results this time weren't as chill as the past.
Uh-oh.
My doctor was like, shit's not chill, bro. And I was like, fuck. And So Brad's got to cut back on a lot of junk food. So I was all pissed off about that yesterday, just angrily throwing like vegetables into my fridge, like motherfucking goddamn it! You're literally taking junk food away from a fat person. This is not cool. And the doctor sitting there, me and the doctor having like a serious conversation.
I can hear you, but you're frozen.
Oh Jesus Christ!
I can hear everything you're saying, so you can just continue.
Okay. And the doctor, us having a serious conversation, and then being like, I'll call that prescription in, to your pharmacy, and me being like, oh, okay, thank you, I appreciate that, and then being like, well, I mean, I don't know if I'll. In The Godfather, and like seriously, this is discriminatory. That's what it is. Fuckers.
Yeah.
I don't know about that freezing.
That's like saying that's like bringing up race that you couldn't,
Yeah.
That's maybe worse than race.
Yeah, me staring at them like they just dropped an N-bomb.
Yeah.
Like, don't talk about my fucking Eagles shirt right now. So Brad's got to lose some lbs and back on a bunch of health food bullshit. So maybe that was tied into the whole cleaning house.
I hate to
your
sound
body.
like a fucking prick that has a great metabolism, but honestly, most like good quality food to me is I don't know. It's I don't get how people are like addicted to shitty food. It's not that good in comparison to like, I don't know. Vegetables sound so much more appetizing to me than like a bag of chips. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not trying to just be this condescending asshole, but I really don't get it. Like, good quality food is so much more delicious. Like
I think it has to do with kind of
like
hating
Taco
yourself.
Bell versus going to like a Thai restaurant with all like fresh ingredients. And yeah, like some of that food may not be like super healthy. Like there's obviously a lot of grease and shit in there, but it's not just like eating a fucking lemongrass sandwich from a vegan place. But it's like, dude, I want that curry with fresh vegetables and fucking shit like that. Shit sounds way better than like a Taco Bell burrito.
But do you know when you eat a bunch of junk food and you feel like shit?
Well, yeah. I mean, I
think
drink
it has
a lot
something
of
to
beer,
do with that.
so
I think it has
I
something
feel like
to do
shit
with that.
Constantly.
Yeah.
Are you a hypochondriac, do you think, at all? Like, do you always feel like you're going to die?
A little bit. I think I don't like, react, but I think I sort of, if someone starts talking about something or I start like feeling something and then going down a Google rabbit hole, I'm like, I feel like I have that, but I don't like panic about it. So I don't know.
I feel like I have to have some kind of cancer or something like that. Like I constantly am just like, I don't feel like I did when I was 18. Does everyone just feel this way? Or I think I'm dying. Like I think my body is telling me that I'm dying. And then but then I go back and forth. I'm like, is it just the alcohol? Is this just like alcohol wearing me down? But then I meet other alcoholics that drink way more than me and they seem like way more fucking feel better. I don't know.
Why don't you go to a meeting?
I'm not doing that.
Why
But
not?
I got my blood work done a few years ago, and they were just like, "Oh, you're good to go, buddy." I was like, "Okay."
Usually, that's what they say to me. That's fucking ridiculous.
They say you should stop smoking and stop drinking, but that's about it.
Yeah. Why don't you go to a meeting?
I'm never going to a meeting.
Why not?
I went to one NA meeting, and I will never go back to anything.
Okay.
It's the worst thing ever. Those are the worst people on the planet.
I think it'd be interesting.
To go to a meeting?
Yeah.
Oh. They're so bad. I know.
You have a problem with the higher power part?
No, it has nothing to do with that. Honestly, that's probably my favorite fucking part of the whole goddamn thing. There's an underlying thing going on at AA meetings, and no one ever admits to it. Anyone that's super into AA, and there's two kinds of people that go to AA. There's people that go to AA, well, a mixture of being forced to go to AA and who are actually desperate for help. Mm-hmm. And that's 20% of the people that are in AA. The other 80% treat it like it's a fucking religion. And they're not there because they have a problem or that they have a problem with wanting, like, they're disguising their need to like be a role model as an addiction problem. And it's like they want to like they're just desperate for something to fucking do. They have nothing to do. So they go to these AA and they're just like, "Oh, I got to give advice and I got to show people, you know, because when you go to AA, you get like partnered with people. You like they want you to sign up and like partner. So half those people are there just to get partners. You know what I mean? Like they're just there to have someone to talk to. Has nothing. And then it's just a bunch of bullshit. It's like when you get on TikTok or YouTube and that just overwhelming flood of self-help people. That's AA. That's those people you see with, you know what I mean? Like that's AA people. Those are all AA people.
But maybe all of that really helps you not drink anymore. So you're trading.
But I don't have a problem, okay? I don't have a fucking problem.
I don't know. And a radio host I listened to said that one guy called and he's like, "Fuck AA, man. I'm stuck with all that higher power bullshit, like God and da-da-da." And the radio host was just like, "Dude, the higher power can just be your sober self." And I was like, that's a fucking line. The higher power is your sober self. I like that. So between now and next show, Eric will go to a meeting and he'll report back to all of us.
That is not fucking happening. I'll never go to that place. I'll go to church before I go to an AA meeting. Hands fucking down.
Wow. All right.
I don't like those people.
All right, I feel you. So this is kind of just some interesting things I found interesting. I found another movie podcast I really like called The Rewatchables, and what I got into they only do movies that they consider rewatchable movies. So this week at work, what I got into is I kind of out of stuff to watch at night. So what I'd do is one day at work, I'd listen to a podcast about a movie. Then that night I'd watch the movie, and I was really loving it. So I'm going to keep doing that. So I listened to like Good Will Hunting, Rounders, Fight Club, Departed, the movie Seven, but a bunch of other ones and I just really loved their show, and I enjoyed the rewatch for Good Will Hunting. That was actually really good.
I just watched Good Will Hunting a few months ago, and
it's not bad.
Maybe I'm gonna put that on, but you're not gonna agree with this. But that's like top 10 movies of all time. It's just such a good fucking movie.
It's very good, and Robin Williams won an Oscar for it.
Yeah, and it's probably Robin Williams' best performance. Everyone brings up Dead Poet Society, but Good Will Hunting is good. And that whole ending when whatever he says, he's just like, it's such a good catchy ending. When I can't remember it now. Now it's like, if you just watch it, doesn't he like leave a letter and he's just like, because he steals what he said to his wife or whatever, and he's like, yeah, that's my fucking line.
He's like, I have to go see about a girl.
Yeah, and he's like, that's my goddamn
prick
line.
Stole my line.
Yeah, it's such a good, it's such a good part of that movie because it just like instantly makes you smile. You know what I mean? Like like a gut smile. You can like feel your body kind of tingle a little bit, like almost to a tear. That's like how fucking good that is.
Yeah, it's fucking great. And there's there's cool facts about that. You know, it took like 4 years for Matt Damon and Ben Affleck to get that movie made, and it got passed around from studio to studio. And then Harvey Weinstein actually was the one who finally fucking got it in production or whatever.
Say what you want, but
and
if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have Good Will Hunting. So maybe a few rapes were worth it.
No. And and when they wrote that movie, they were inspired by Reservoir Dogs because Reservoir Dogs had Harvey Keitel in it. And the reason they wrote the Robin Williams, they needed someone with a big name with star power to go into the movie to get it made or whatever. And they before it got made, they had to like rush and push so hard because Matt Damon was like 26 or 27, and they were like, we have to make this movie as soon as possible because he's playing a 20-year-old, and like we're running out of time for him to actually play this role. But yeah, I don't know. And Robin Williams won an Oscar for it. It's a good movie.
Who's Harvey Keitel or whatever? What is
he was in Reservoir Dogs. He was in Pulp Fiction too. He played the wolf. The fixer guy.
That was like their big name in Reservoir Dogs?
Reservoir Dogs, yeah. So they wrote the role of that Sean therapist guy as like, this is the role we need to find an actor for. And like Mel Gibson's name was tossed around and stuff, and they like needed someone to join the movie because everyone else is unknown. Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, completely unknown. Just to get the movie made. Oh, and Ben Affleck, like the scene where they're drinking beer after work, and he's like, if you're still,
scene?
Yeah, like if you're still here in 20 years, I'll fucking kill you. Like you need to get out. You have a gift. Like Ben Affleck had waited like 10 years to do that scene. Like that was his scene that he was like, that's my scene, and he waited so long, and they shot it, and he nailed it in the first take, and the director was like, boom, perfect. And Ben's like, we got to do it again, and they did it like 3 or 4 more times, but it got worse, and the director's like, dude, the first take was perfect. Like, you waited all this time, and you fucking nailed it first take. Like, we don't need to keep doing it. But Fight Club, that was a good one too, so I rewatched that. That was interesting. It was scheduled to come out like right after Columbine. Like, they didn't know Columbine was going to happen, but that's when it was supposed to be released. So then Columbine happened, and the studio like completely panicked and pushed it and kept pushing it and pushing it back because of Columbine. They panicked about the whole thing. It premiered at and some things I'm about to say, have the children leave the room. Just a FYI for everybody. But it premiered at the Venice Film Festival, and when Marla Singer, the character, rolls over in bed and says the line, "I haven't been fucked like that since grade school," the guy who was running the film festival stood up and walked out and never came back. At the end of the movie, it got booed, and people hated it and just didn't understand it. And Brad Pitt looked over to one of the writers of the movie and said, "This is going to be the greatest film of my career." It got terrible reviews, like didn't do good in the theater. But then when it got released on DVD, it sold like 6 million copies on DVD, like one of the best DVD sales.
That's
and just was
crazy talk.
Yeah, and just was met with a bunch of, like, Robert Ebert or whatever, the famous critic, gave it like 2 out of 5 stars and said, it was just a waste of time. And then it was a
fuck him.
It was a slow burn.
I want to go punch him in the mouth. That was
the greatest.
That was the greatest that movie and like Reservoir Dogs. I wish you could go back and rewatch it for the first time, because nothing beats the first time you watch that movie. So for Robert Ebert to give that 2, like, what the fuck? That makes me so mad.
Yeah, and like I said before on the show, but they mentioned in that podcast that Rosie O'Donnell hated the movie so much that she went on her talk show like the day after it came out in the theater and gave the whole movie away, gave the whole spoiler away. And they've quoted Brad Pitt in articles before saying that what she did was unforgivable. And she never apologized for it. But it was like a slow burn, and then over the next like decade, like the film, like among the general consensus amongst everybody is like it became a good film, like as time went on. And within like 10 years, the New York Times wrote an article calling it like the film of a generation. Like after people had trashed it when it came out, then the slow burn goes on. And then what I found interesting was that line in the movie, I haven't been fucked like that since grade school. That wasn't the original line in the script. The original line in the script was, "I want to have your abortion." And the president of Fox Movies or whatever told the director to take that line out. And she's like, who was a woman, the president of Fox, was like, take that line out of the movie. And the director was like, I'll take the line out, but you don't get to tell me no again. Whatever I replace the line with, we have to go with. And she was like, all right, deal. And so then he replaced "I want to have your abortion" with "I haven't been fucked like that since grade school." And you could make the argument that she screwed herself because got a a more shocking line. It'd be up for a debate, but I thought that was pretty funny.
That makes me mad to listen to. That whole spiel just made me mad. That's bullshit.
Yeah, I don't know. And
fuck Rosie O'Donnell. Fuck Robert Ebert. Fuck all that bullshit.
Maybe it's Roger Ebert. The thing was, in like 1999, the critics weren't just like us. They were like, they were like your parents. You know what I mean? There wasn't like the internet. It was just like these older dudes that were like professional movie critics. And of course, that's not going to resonate with them.
I don't know how it couldn't. It's such a well done movie.
Yeah.
Chuck Palahniuk to me just does such a good. He's just a great writer. His stories are just so good. You seen Choke? Have you seen that movie?
No.
Watch that movie. Put it on your list. It's
Jesus
another.
Fuck.
Dude, come on. What? Whenever I give you a suggestion, you're like, "Fuck." Not doing any of it. God damn it.
But like for everybody,
these random fucks on some podcast, you're like, yeah, I think I'll do that.
Yeah. But he had the line.
Wrote Fight Club. Like, he wrote Fight Club. I tell you, hey, you should watch another movie by him. I'm not. Jesus Christ. I got so much to do.
But the line, "I want to have your abortion, and I haven't been fucked like that since grade school." I think the president of Fox screwed herself. Just my opinion. That's hilarious, though. You got to take this line out. Okay, I'll take it out, but you can't tell me no again. Do you want to take that deal? She's like, all right, I'll take the deal. And then, boom, I haven't been fucked like that since grade school. Son of a bitch.
It's really good. Did you know Chuck Palahniuk? I feel like we talked about it a month ago, but Chuck Palahniuk's dad was murdered.
Really?
In Washington, I believe, outside of Tacoma or something like that, up in the mountains. Mm-hmm. It's a weird fucking story. Chuck Palahniuk has a weird family dynamic. His dad took in this woman who was like at a, what do you call those places? Like a women's, where women a women's house, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Like a safe house for women.
Shelter.
Shelter, yeah, women's shelter. Something was going on there, and this dude, said if I ever, I don't know, it's a weird story, you should Google it sometime, but it's like a dude, said if you ever leave me, I'll fucking kill you. And so she's at this women's shelter, and I think his dad was an attorney or something like that, and was like an attorney. I don't think he was a cop. I don't know, somehow involved with, social services or something like that in some way or another, and met this woman, and they like kicked it off and essentially kind of started dating. And he's like, here, come up to this. He's like, I got this cabin up in the woods, and we're going to get you out of this situation. You're going to come stay up in this secluded cabin, and, we'll just let all the shit cool down. And I think they were trying to get their husband arrested or whatever. And then there's like this story where the day he went to go pick her up, and I think she had a kid, the day he went to go pick her up, like a boulder rolled into the front of the road. And so he was stuck on this mountain until he could get the boulder out. And then when he got the boulder out of the way, he like chiseled this message in the boulder to like signify what he was doing that day. And it was like the boulder was like this dedication to this woman and to save this woman or whatever. But it ate up like 5 hours of his day, this whole fucking boulder rolling across this road. And then he went down, picked her up. And I don't know, it's a really cool story to read, and I'm sure I'm missing a bunch of details. But then they go back up to the house, and then no one really knows what happens, and the police show up, and the house is burnt down, and everyone's dead inside the house. And the husband got arrested for it, and somehow he tracked them down back to this house and fucking killed them and set the house on fire and murdered Chuck Palahniuk's dad. And I think he was like 10 years old or something like that when that happened. And fucking... Weird. Yeah, so Chuck Palahniuk, there's more stuff there. It's just like a weird childhood.
That's insane.
And then it's just, I don't know, to plug that in to all of
Yeah.
his stories. It's especially once, if you ever read Choke or watch the movie Choke, it'll kind of make a connection what kind of writer he is, because they're very similar, like Fight Club and Choke. And
Yeah.
there's other, the Invisible something. It's like twisty. It's not like M. Night Shyamalan twisty. It's more like, but kind of that way. And always kind of dark and weird. I don't know. He's very interesting. I like Chuck Palahniuk.
Leaves
He's
of
awesome,
Grass
dude.
is another famous book he wrote.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that all your movie talk?
Yeah.
God damn it. I hate when I write stuff down for the show sometimes, especially like right before we do the show. I'll be like racking my brain and I'll be like quick jotting shit down, and I'll write stuff down in a really abridged way that I don't even know what the fuck I was talking about. Like,
What did you write?
at not believing. But
Not believing.
I don't know what the fuck that means. I don't think that has anything to do with religion. I don't know what the fuck I was talking about. Well, anyways, I guess, I'm a little update, heading back to the old Oregon. This is my
Next
last
weekend?
week here. Yep, I'm gonna leave Friday. I think we got some weird shit going on. I'm really not happy about it because it's gonna start snowing on Thursday. But the temperature, the highs for each day are pretty high. So I think roads will be, good the whole drive. I think it's just probably at night it'll snow like a quarter inch or something like that.
Yeah.
It'll be fine, but I'll be kind of irritated if roads are shitty because I'm the type of person that likes to leave at fucking, 5 a.m. and get on the road. It's the best time to drive, like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What I mean? Just those hours fly by. You got coffee, you got an audiobook going. It's just in the mode. It's like 4, 5, 6, 7 p.m. Worst times to fucking drive. That's where
Yeah.
just, oh, fuck this drive. I hate my life.
But if you ever start late at like 8 or 9 o'clock, you feel behind. You feel
can't.
fucked.
Oh, yeah. That's my original drive here was kind of irritating. I did okay getting out here, but I didn't leave as early as I want. I want to be fucking packed, ready to go. But the problem was last time is I didn't want to pack my car the night before, and I had a lot of shit to pack. And now I'll be able to pack my car the night before because I couldn't fit my car in the garage at home, and I wasn't about to leave a computer, a gun, cameras, all this shit just sitting in a fucking car out in my driveway. But this time I have a garage, so I'll be able to pack everything up, and I'll just be able to wake up, cup of coffee, bam, out the door. But anyways, so there won't be a show next week. Well, unless Brad does one by himself, but I will be on the road. Gonna do a little pit stop in Salt Lake City to go see my brother. So that'll be cool. Do a day there. That'll be fun.
I have a buddy in Salt Lake who has, I don't know if he still listens to this show, but I know he used to.
Yeah. And then so Thursday or Friday is my last day with the company I've been with for 6 years. So that's pretty pretty nutty. It's a nutty feeling. I go through a lot of my waves are fucking up and down, fucking the anxiety.
So is the job over?
Not even close. I mean, they're really just in the beginning stages of the job. I'm just bouncing out. And they're having all kinds of problems. I mean, that's it seems like everyone is having a real problem with employment right now. Finding employees, which really just blows my mind. They can't get people to fucking, they've said they have ads posted and shit like that for us for this job. And they've had like 5 people call and fill out an application, and then the day to come in, they just don't even show up to the orientation or whatever. They just don't even come.
And they pay well.
Yeah, I think they're kind of being a little Jew. I don't know. I don't dig too much, but this is a private job, so they pay us well. All the guys from Oregon, because if they didn't, we'd all tell them to go fuck themselves.
Yeah.
But they're not required to pay a wage here. So they could pay minimum wage technically. So I think they're trying to, I think that's probably why they're not getting very many applicants, is they're probably trying to pay like 20, 25 bucks an hour. You know what I mean? And people are like, why would I do that? You know, why would I go work a shitty ass job for 20 bucks an hour? That sounds pretty stupid.
Wow. I still think $20 an hour is a good wage.
It's all right.
Yeah.
If your rent is under $1,000, it's a okay wage. But you know,
dude, that used to be so much money.
I know, that's why $20 an hour ain't jack shit. Because when I remember in Sandpoint renting a house with 3 people, and it was a decent house on Main Street, and that shit was either $700 or $900 a month. And I remember stressing about that $700 a month. Like, fuck. And split between 3 people, so it was like 250, 300 bucks a fucking person. And still it was like, how am I going to come up with 250 bucks this week? It was like,
oh my God.
Or this month. Isn't that crazy? Dude, 250 bucks? Oh my God.
That's crazy.
You could do anything. Yeah, but then I remember, like, when I first started working, I remember working at Burger King and working 2 weeks and getting like a $300 paycheck or like a $250 paycheck. So that's like living off of $600 a month. And there were people that worked at Burger King that were adults. And looking back on that, like, how the fuck were you like making that shit work, living in an apartment?
That's crazy. No, I remember I made like $750, and the guy who ran the restaurant, I found out he made like $12.50. I was like, damn. I mean, that was decent. $12.50. And I was making $750, and every 2 weeks my check was like $450, and I was in high school, and I was fucking balling off that $450 every 2 weeks.
Yeah, I can remember vividly this. Another funny thing, when I was working at Burger King, my brother had came up to Idaho for a little bit, and you know, he was way older than me, and I believe he was working in an HVAC company. But I was like, hey, we need a manager at Burger King. You can come do that. And, you know, he was like, he must have been like 26 or 27 or something like that. And he's like, if they pay me fucking $12 an hour, I'll come do it. And I remember at the time, I was like, there's no way they would ever pay that. You know what I mean? So, and I remember a conversation, like I vividly remember this conversation. I was like, and I thought $12 an hour was like a lot of money. When I think when I first started working, it was $5.25 an hour. I was making $5.25 an hour. Yeah. And so, double that rate plus, you know, plus 40% on top of that. Yeah. It was just like $12.50 or $12. That's insane. You know, you could never, the company would go bankrupt paying that kind of fucking money.
Yeah. No, I remember being like talking to a buddy who worked in like excavation. And he was like, you need at least like $11 or $12 to survive here in Sandpoint, you know? And I was like, fuck, that's a lot.
Yeah, I remember talking to a dude once, and I was doing construction with my brother, but it was pissing me off. So I would have been like 20, 19, probably 19. And they were paying me $15 an hour. And I remember I was like, I make more than everybody my age right now. Cash, $15 an hour. I was like, I'm balling. And fucking I remember this one dude I was hanging out with one time, and he was like, he worked for this company. He was a few years older than us, and he worked for this company building castles or some shit. And he's like, hey, I could get you a job. And I was like, yeah, okay. I was like, I'm kind of pissed off of working with my brother and my cousin. I was like, I'll switch construction companies. You know what I mean? But he didn't say that to his boss. And so I'm at his house, and like a few days later, he's like, hey, the boss is here. I told him about you. You can go talk to him about getting a job. You know what I mean? And I'm like, okay. And so we end up in this room together, all three of us, and he's like, what, then he's like going through a interview essentially, this impromptu fucking interview, and he's like, what do you know, how long you been doing construction, blah 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 blah, and I'm like, blah blah blah, I can do this, I can do that, and he's like, okay, well, I could pay you, I think we could work out like 13, and I was like, well, I'm not doing that. I was like, I make 15 right now. And he's like, oh, he's like, you make 15. He's like, that's a really good. He's like, oh, I didn't think you made that amount of money. And he's like, yeah, I can't pay that. And I was just like, looking back at like those conversations, just like, that's insane talk. Cause like now, dude, I'm so fucking cocky now that it's like, people want me on a job. It's like, yeah, if you can't pay me $55 an hour, it's not even worth it for me to fucking be there. Like,
oh my God.
It's just, I don't mean that as a brag, but it's like serious. Like once you get used to fucking prevailing wages, it's just like, because people come ask you to work weekends, and it's like, dude, I make $40 an hour. You know what I mean? And I make $15 on top of that that covers all my fringe and 401k and shit like that. So it's like my normal wage is above $50 an hour. You're asking me to come out and help you on a Saturday?
Yeah.
Well, I got to think, if I work a Saturday at a civil job, I'm making almost $75 an hour. You know what I mean? If not $80 an hour, somewhere in there. And it's like you can all go fuck yourself. I don't know. You just get really used to a fucking, I don't know. That sounds super cocky. I'm listening to myself say these words, and that's not what I'm not trying to be that person. I'm just, it's just yeah, okay, whatever.
Jeez, wish I was rich.
Yeah. Okay, fucking crypto boy. I bet you have a lot more money than I do.
No, I'm broke. I have no money.
Yeah, I got to go talk to a CPA. I just got too much money.
Oh God, yeah. I'm gonna be able to do taxes this week, and I'm gonna get so fucked. But yeah, you get used to that higher wage. But when I still hear $20 an hour, I feel like, yeah, I would take that. It just feels like still a good wage because I've made $7 and $8 and $9 an hour before. But I guess it's just a different world now, where your gas prices are really high.
Well, yeah. I mean, I mean, my rent back then was $250. My mortgage now is $2,000. So from going to $525 to $55 an hour is like, well, yeah, my fucking cost of living. You know what I mean? Like $20. You can't live off $20. You can't live off $25. You can't live off $30.
Yeah, I wonder if someday we're gonna see jobs that are hiring for like $100 an hour.
Absolutely.
Like not because if you made that much money right now, you'd probably be salary. Like you wouldn't be like $100 an hour, but like posted jobs for like heavy equipment operator or something, be like, oh, it's $110 an hour.
Yeah,
like
20 years, $100. Like
and a coffee at Starbucks cost you fucking $150,
dude.
Or something.
I remember in the 90s, I remember going to the gas station with my brother and buying a carton of Marlboro Reds, and it was $20 for a carton of Marlboro Reds. You know how much a carton of Marlboro Reds right now is? Over $100 fucking dollars. So 30 years.
There.
Bam. So. Yeah. And I bet you in the 90s, I'm saying $5.25 when I started working. In the 90s, what was the minimum wage back then? $3.25? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. It was $7 when I started working. And then like a month after I started working, the minimum wage went up to $7.25, so my wage moved up to $7.25.
Am I wrong about $5.25? I swear to God, that's what I made.
No, I'm sure that's right. I mean, you are like
49,
48, 49.
Yeah, that's right.
Years old.
Yeah. Yeah. Boom.
It's expensive. I keep seeing this thing on TikTok. Everyone's sharing their fucking opinion of, is there more wheels in the world or doors in the world? wheels or doors. I think I saw Neil deGrasse Tyson post about it, Andrew Yang post about it. Everyone's saying, dude, it's more doors. Think about cruise ships, bro. And if it's like, dude, it's more wheels. You know how many skateboards there are? Is there more wheels in the world or doors in the world?
Yeah, 100%.
It's fucking
more
wheels.
Yeah,
it's
100%.
wheels.
100%.
I thought
Because
about
so
cruise
many
ships
things,
too.
so many things could like constitute a wheel. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, yeah. Then someone's like, and then I thought about cruise ships too. But then someone posted a video about cruise ships and was like, think about every like food cart on there or stuff. And I'm like, it's like, yeah, okay. But then someone's like, what about caskets? Each casket has 2 doors, and I'm like, those aren't fucking doors, dude.
dude, I got a great picture that would put this.
It's wheels is the answer.
Dude, I have a picture.
Doors
I can go get a picture on Monday of something that'll fucking blow any argument out of the fucking water. So at these dairy farms, what they do is they bring in all this spoilage. I can't remember the name for it. A few months ago was the first time I'd ever heard the name for it. It's essentially like, I think what it is they take, because these dairy farms, most of them grow their own food, you know what I mean, for the cows. So they own a bunch of land right adjacent to it.
Yeah.
And it's like cornfields. And what they'll do, supposedly, silage? Can't remember the name for it. But supposedly what they do is they fucking grow all this corn, and then they come through and chop all the corn down, and they just grind everything up. You know what I mean? Grind the whole stalk, leaves, corn, and then they just add some nutrient shit to it, and then that's what they feed the cow. You know, that's part of the feed for the cows. Well, so every year they do this. There's a section on this dairy farm. So fucking shitload of cows over here. You got fields over. I mean, this dairy farm, they have to own like 1 million fucking acres. You know, it's just a huge fucking place. And there's a spot next to the cows kind of close where they make these gigantic mounds of food. Huge, that are the size of a football field of this mound of food. And what they do is then they cover it with plastic. And in Denver, out in this area, like I've talked about in the show before, is it gets very, very fucking windy. Very, very, very fucking windy here. So if you have a football-sized fucking mountain and you got it covered with plastic, you got a real fucking problem. So there's probably 10,000 tires that cover this whole fucking thing. And what they do is every day they peel back the plastic a little bit more and move the tires aside and then fucking dig it. So that picture alone, you know how many fucking tires there are? And is that not a wheel? I mean, is that not considered a wheel? I mean, what? Yeah, that would be a real argument. What constitutes a wheel? Is the tire a wheel? Yeah, it's a fucking wheel. That picture alone, there's 10,000 fucking tires right there. There's no doors to be seen anywhere. And how many you know what I mean? How many tire shops are there? There's so many fucking tires out there. So many tires out there. That's just tires. That's not coasters or casters. That's not a million things that you have wheels. That's a ridiculous argument. What did Neil deGrasse Tyson say?
I don't remember.
Because if he said doors, I'm done with him. I'm never listening to a single thing he ever has to say.
I doubt he said doors.
He said something once that really bugged me. I don't know why it bugged me.
You calling him wrong? You calling him a liar?
I think he's misrepresenting something. He was talking about getting in a car crash and not wearing your seatbelt. And I think this was on his TikTok. And he's like, yeah, everyone, his whole argument was wear a fucking seatbelt, wear a seatbelt, which, whatever. Okay, I get that. But he made the comparison to, he's like, go talk to a runner and tell him to fucking, run face first into a wall at 10 miles an hour. He's like, that's how it would feel if you got in a car wreck at 10 miles an hour. And I'm like, no, it wouldn't. That's the stupidest thing I've ever fucking heard. Like, I get what you're getting at, but that's not how it would be. A brick wall in your face, there's zero give there. Whereas 2 cars crashing at 10 miles an hour, even if you have the increase of now it's more like 20 miles an hour, there's so much give in things that are happening there that, I don't know. I was like, that's a ridiculous thing. I was like, for a physicist, you're being pretty you're just giving this blank statement, and you're not accounting for so many things that are going to give in that 10-mile-an-hour crash. Would you rather be in a 10-mile-an-hour crash? Oh, never mind. I can't ask you that. I can't fucking ask you that. Never mind,
I'd rather
Brad.
run into a brick
You're
wall.
a bad person to fucking talk to about that.
Well, this isn't the first time you've agreed with the great Dr. Tyson, but I have to side with him because I think he knows what he's talking about. Maybe he didn't explain it well, or you didn't receive it well, but I'm sure there's some sort of scientific basis behind it.
Just because his name's Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah.
Okay, fuck him.
He's a scientist.
He don't know shit about walls, okay? He don't know shit about walls.
Well, okay. I'd rather run into a wall. Because I've been hit by a car before in a parking lot. And
I know, and it was the end of the fucking world. How fast were you going? About 5 miles an hour? And did you have a bloody nose when you were done and scratches all over your face?
No. But I was traumatized.
No, you didn't, because a crash at 10 miles an hour without a seatbelt on is not the same as full sprint 10 mile an hour running face first into a brick wall. Go fuck yourself. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Yeah, it's gonna hurt. A 10 mile an hour crash, it's gonna hurt. You're gonna slap your fucking steering wheel, and you may even hit your head on your fucking windshield.
Isn't there an airbag that's supposed to go off? Pow.
That too. There's so many things you're not bringing up in that. You just like, well, it's just like running face first into a brick wall. Shut up. I get what you're trying to do is wear your seatbelt. I'm not saying that it's not a good thing to be, that kind of info. Like, it's a good thing to be saying to the general public,
right?
But you're not being fair. Like, for someone that's supposed to be this super fucking, take into account all different variables. You're not taking into account all the variables in what you just said. And you're comparing. I'm right. I know I'm right. Fuck him.
All right. I'll remember that.
Goddamn right you will. Goddamn right you will.
What else do you have?
Dude, I wrote a bunch of shit down that makes no fucking sense at all. I don't know what that fucking means. I need to be way more descriptive. When I was outside when I invited you, and I'm getting a cup of coffee, and I'm like, oh, that's good, that's good, that's good, that's good, and half the list makes no fucking sense at all. Yeah, I will say, this is a weird one, but I know I've talked about before. I feel like I've talked about on the show is the throwing the brick through the window. I've talked about that, right? I think I have.
What about it?
Didn't I? Nothing about essentially when I got in trouble when I left Sandpoint and I threw the brick through the window, like blah 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 blah. Well, on the CCB application for getting my license is there's a little section that says, have you ever been convicted of the following? And it's like murder, assault, blah blah blah. Well, it says theft or robbery. And it says, have you ever been charged or convicted of? You know what I mean? And I was like, I went back through. I have all my court documents because this isn't the first time I've had to provide all the court documents for this shit. So I have a folder on my computer with all the court documents, and it's a pretty substantial folder. There's a lot of paperwork in there for one fucking charge. And
Jesus.
Like I had to do it all when I tried to get badged to go to the PDX airport. That was like a whole ordeal.
Oh yeah.
Because they ran a fucking background check on me. I was flagged. Which wasn't a little side note here, which I thought was insane because I work with a guy who's been to federal prison for 8 years, and he got passed right through, and I get fucking flagged to go to
Good.
And I get it, the whole airport thing that makes sense, that should be a pretty strenuous thing to get badged to go wherever you want in the airport, that makes sense. But anyways,
well, if you okay, yeah. It depends on what he went to federal. If he went to federal prison for tax evasion, then he shouldn't be flagged.
He
But you should.
did go to prison for tax evasion, but he got busted with methamphetamine too. So it was like, but the big charge, what they could really pin him on, was tax evasion.
Oh, Jesus.
And so that's what it was, from what I understand. Anyways, but he was getting the money from selling drugs, but they couldn't pin the drugs on him, but they could pin all the money that he wasn't paying taxes on because he owned too much shit and had no proof of an income, blah, blah, blah. Or at least that's what I understand. But anyways, on that application, I get to that part. Well, when I threw the brick through the window, going back, I got charged with burglary is what they charged me with. And then I was convicted of vandalism. Mm-hmm. And then I've done a lot of digging the last week, which it's been a while since I've had to do this digging before, there's a very, very clear definitions between theft, burglary, and robbery, which it's just a weird fine fucking line between all of them. And essentially, and it's funny because I was reading through the police report again, like, the other day. Was reading through because it's just, I don't know, it's interesting. It makes
I would guess like theft. I would guess theft doesn't involve actually breaking into a place. Theft would be like stealing something from Walmart.
Which is, it's funny is if you Google this and kind of go down the legal rabbit hole, is you can get charged with multiple things that sound exactly the same at the same time. Because yes, you need to enter a residence. You know what I mean? That's gonna blah blah blah. So, but I'm going down a little side deal here. But on the police report, when I was reading, because I have the initial police report that has pages and pages and pages of shit of what the cops wrote down the night they showed up to the scene. You know what I mean? Like taking everyone's what they said and blah 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 blah. And at the end, I never noticed this, but at the end of the police report, there was something in, like, reading the beginning of it. It's like, yeah, did that. I remember that. I remember that. I remember that. I remember that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, this is all spot on accurate. What was going on? But then at the end of the police report, and I never caught it till recently, was they're like, oh yeah, well, this is what this person said about throwing it in. But then on the back side of the business, we see fingerprints all over the window, and it looks like he had tried to, out of camera view, look like he had tried to gain access through this window. And I'm like, what? And it never clicked on me until I started digging down the robbery, theft, and burglary rabbit hole. Is the reason they added all that shit in the police report is because with them saying that, now it makes it seem like I'm trying to gain access into the business even more so, which makes them then now they can charge for felony robbery. You know what I mean? Because I'm trying to gain in, which I wasn't. Right. I never went to that backside and tried to open a window. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That was just a funny thing to me. Was just like, oh, those sly little tricky bastards. That's what they were doing there. And I'd never caught that before. They were trying to increase the charge. And just by adding that little bit to that police report about fingerprints on the window, they were able to justify a warrant more easily for a higher charge. Because it was a felony charge is what my warrant was. Yeah. And I don't know. Just I thought that was funny.
Weird.
Yeah. Interesting. But anyways, on that application, it says theft, robbery, murder, blah, 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 blah. I sat there. I went back and forth. I'm like, it doesn't say burglary. Uh-huh. You know what I mean? I was like, it doesn't say burglary. And I was like, I don't need to fucking include it. Like, I don't need to include this. You know what I mean? And it said, it says theft, first degree, robbery, first degree, murder, first, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then finally I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Because it says on the deal, it's like, if we're going to do a background check on you, if you don't include the court documentations, we could deny you of your license, and it could prolong the deal. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to add all this paperwork to the application. You know what I mean? I was like, I don't really like thinking about this or even talking about it or writing anything about it, but it's like, I don't, if this helps expedite the process, I'm just going to add all this shit to it. So my application just got way fucking thicker. But really the whole reason I went down this whole rabbit hole, I did find that cop thing interesting about that, but man, it's such a fucking weird, I mean, obviously I don't think you've have things like this to look back. I mean, yeah, it's so embarrassing to literally open up that folder and start reading into it. It's just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, you're such an idiot. Why did you do this? Like, why? What the fuck were you thinking, you fucking idiot?
That's so crazy.
It doesn't feel like I did it, honestly. Like, looking back at it, it's like, yeah, of course I remember it, but it's like, it feels like a fucking different life. Like, it feels so long ago and so stupid and just, yeah. Yeah, that's what drugs will fucking do to you, I guess, is just make everything a big old blur.
Dude, it was like middle school aged years where me and a bunch of friends just got into stealing things big time. And it was like a daily thing. So stupid. Thinking back on it. So fucking dumb.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know how I never got in trouble for that either. I was stealing a lot of shit
too.
from Walmart as well.
It was like a hobby of ours.
Mm-hmm.
So fucking stupid though. It's like, why?
Did you ever get in trouble for it?
No, not really. One time it was a kind of a smaller business, and an owner followed us into the street and then asked for the stuff back, and then said, "Don't come back in the store." And that was like a wake up call to stop. But that was it.
Yeah. God. You're just so dumb when you're young. You're just so fucking dumb.
So stupid. And I'm sure looking back on it, like if you could see like footage of it, it wasn't even as smooth as like you thought it was. You thought it was like fucking just like smooth, you know what I mean? Like nobody can see what I'm doing right now, but it probably wasn't as smooth as you thought it was. And just so stupid. I regret it. I regret all of it. It's just pointless. It's like, do you really need to steal like 3 or 4 monsters? No, you don't. Or alcohol.
Yeah, I really wish I could just erase like 3 years of my life. You know what I mean? Just literally take that box and just maybe even 4 or 5 years and just fucking that never fucking happened. Just set that aside. Yeah, I did a lot of dumb shit. A lot of shit I'm not proud of. But it's kind of a catch-22 because a lot of times I'm around people like really goody two-shoe people, and I'm like, you haven't learned the lessons I've learned. You know what I mean? And like, you just don't get part of the world you don't even understand. You know what? Like a lot of guys that work in my company they've never done anything bad in their life. It's weird for construction workers too. It's like, you're not even a construction worker. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like, and I'm just like, you're missing out. Like a lot of people, I'm like, you know what? Like I'm not proud of my past, but it's also like when I'm around certain people, I'm like, I could go into a trap house, you know what I mean? And be completely normal. And people wouldn't think that I'm weird. You would go into a fucking drug house, or whatever, and they'd be like, who the fuck is this guy? You know what I mean? And it's like, I could be in really bad situations and figure out how to make it work. And you can't. You know what I mean? It's like, so part of that, I am happy. I lived through some of these things. You know what I mean? I know how drug houses work. I know I can spot these people easier. You know what I mean? Like on the street, I'm like, I know what that dude's doing. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I'm around people and I'm like, you know what that guy's doing right there? You know what I mean? And they're like, what? I'm like, are just little things you would it's street smarts. Like, street. Yeah. But you'd never know unless you really went down a path. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I used to, like, in the younger days when I was trying to convince a friend to do drugs with me, I would tell them, I would tell them, like, you need to know about this stuff because, like, for when you have kids someday, to be able to spot in your kids, like, if they're doing certain drugs and know which drugs they're doing, like, and you be able to spot it, for one, just so you're aware of it, and two, you don't overreact over certain drugs, you know, over other, and be like, that's why we should do this stuff. And there's some truth to that, but at the same time, like, just stop doing that. But there's like
Yeah,
the goody,
I don't-
like those goody two shoes straight edge people say they like never do anything and grow up and have kids, and now their kid does it, and like the parent, and then maybe the parents like completely oblivious now because they never did it. Like they might smell something or see a certain behavior and be like, I don't know what's going on, or like completely overreact like to way more, like you're kicked out of the house or something.
Yeah,
it's like, whoa, it's not that big of a deal.
They treat like, their kid fucking smokes a bowl like the kid's fucking doing meth. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, Jesus Christ. Like, absolutely. I think about that a lot. Is it good to have experienced weird shit and done bad shit? You know what I mean? Or is it, I don't know.
Yeah, like probably as a parent, it's probably good to have experienced that shit. But I was telling kids like this is why we should do it, is so that when if we have kids,
would you take back that shit? Like, would you take back the stealing? Like, honestly, would you erase your past, or wouldn't you? Because to me, I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like, I like the knowledge I've learned. I think the knowledge I've learned and the experiences has shaped me. So it's like, why? Yeah, I'd be scared to erase all of it. Well,
a lot of the, you know, hallucinogens and weed, I would take back a lot of it. And I would say maybe it would have been better to just try it and never do it again, as opposed to like keep doing it. There might have been a point where like there was no longer a benefit. And maybe the benefit was just trying something and then not doing it, as opposed to like keep doing it. Maybe the benefit had ran out, you know, years after. So I would erase that. And I think it gave me anxiety and paranoia for,
you know, honestly, I think I have a good, it's not even that I don't know. I know that I wouldn't take it back, because I know 100% the day that fucking reading that police report, that when that happened, the months before I broke that window, or years before that, I'd been saying, I want to leave. I want to move out of Sandpoint. I want. You know, I'd say in conversation, I'd be talking to a business owner or something, like, I want to go do this. I want to go do this. The day that I got arrested, and the day that I felt like, because I had worked at the DTC, and I'd worked at Sandpoint Music, and I'd worked at Trinity. You get involved with the owners of all these companies. You know what I mean? And I knew all these owners. And it's a small fucking town. Everyone knows everybody. You know what I mean? And the day that shit all fucking happened, and the warrant for the arrest, I was like, everyone knows. That's how I felt. I was like, everyone knows I can't show my face here anymore. Like, I can't show my face in this town anymore. And it was like, that motivated me, because I left the day once I'd gotten arrested and fucking got bailed out. I had left Sandpoint probably 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, out.
Yeah.
Made it happen. Called, you know, started making phone calls. Like, what do I got to do? I got to get the fuck out of here, because I can't face anybody anymore. You know what I mean? I'm too ashamed.
Tail between your legs.
Yeah, like I gotta, now there's no choice. I gotta grow up. You know what I mean? I gotta get the fuck out of here. And
yeah, I was never really caught for anything.
If I wouldn't have done that, I almost guarantee I'd probably still be in Sandpoint. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I know we've talked about this a bunch, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but for me, there is something. My life, there's something wrong with that. I needed to go. I had to. You know what I mean? There's other things that had to have been done.
Yeah, I just think the mushrooms and the acid and the ecstasy and stuff gave me long-lasting anxiety and paranoia issues.
Man, that's another one. I think about that all the time. Is the anxiety and the weirdness, is that because of shit I've done, or has it always really been there?
I think it's because of stuff I've done. I think it's because it never even crossed my mind, or I never felt any of it until I stopped doing those things.
I don't know, man. I've thought about that too. That
there's a
the
connection.
drugs fuck my brain up, or like with anxiety, especially. I get crippling anxiety all the time, and I look back and I'm like, I don't think I got that anxiety when I was younger. But then if I really start to think about it, it's like, yeah, I did. I maybe got 50% of what I get now. But then the other part of that is I'm also a lot more responsible now than I was back then. So of course my anxiety level is going to be way higher now, and my depression levels now than it was when I was 18, because I care more now. There's more to lose now. So the crippling anxiety is going to be way higher now. And yeah, I don't know. But I have the same thought process as what you're talking about. Did the drugs do this to me? Was I more cognitive back then? Well, you'll never know. You can't literally just suck yourself out and throw yourself back into 18 and remember how your body felt, remember how your mind felt, remember how like sharp you were, remember what the anxiety is. It's kind of lost. All your memories are always kind of wrong. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like they're always kind of not exactly how you're, and that's a scary thing, when people start talking about that. Because it is true.
Yeah, it's there. My memories are certainly wrong, especially when it comes to just how you felt. Maybe not for like what happened, but how you felt about what happened changes. But I never would have said like I'm anxious, I think, or I have anxiety until I was like early 20s.
But I didn't even know what that word meant when I was 18. You know what I mean?
Me neither. Yeah. I think it had an effect. It certainly didn't help.
I vividly remember like going to school and like I didn't do homework or something like that. And that shit happened all the time. And I would be freaking the fuck out all day long. Just... I can't even step foot in that fucking classroom right now. Like, oh my God, I can't step foot in that classroom. Like, what is going to happen? What is going to happen? They are going to he's going to stand me up in front of the whole fucking class and berate me because I'm such an idiot. Why didn't I do it? Why didn't I do it? Like, fuck. So, yeah, I think thinking that
kind of sounds familiar to me.
Thinking that I didn't have anxiety back in high school is kind of silly. I had crazy anxiety. I remember like, oh no, my world's gonna end. It's gonna end. Like, this is the biggest deal on the fucking planet.
Yeah.
And whether it be homework, whether it be a test I'm about to take, failing the test, what I have to go say to my mom, you know what I mean? Is she gonna find out about this? The school's gonna call, oh my God. So I don't know. I think in your memory, it's always the grass is greener. The grass was so much greener back when I was 18 or 16. What I would give for that. Well,
I know. It was greener. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Fucking, yeah. Old memory lane, Crazy thing to go
now
down.
You're an old man having conversations about blood tests and spend your weekend cleaning.
So something else I wanted to bring up. I don't know if I talked about this last time, but with starting this business, I know it's not a healthy thing, but I maybe I totally verbatim said this last episode. I don't remember. Maybe if I was 16, I'd have a better memory. But fucking, I feel I get more motivation from people that are like patronizing to me, or like obviously think, they're just people that think I'm gonna fail, and it gives me. I really feel like I
fail.
I can. You talk to certain people, and you get like a sense of like a oh, that's good for you, bud. You know what I mean? And it's like, you know what? Go fuck you. You know what I mean? Like,
I think it's a win-win.
What do you mean?
I think it's a win-win. What you're doing is a win-win.
Why is it a win-win?
Just by doing it, you've already won.
Okay. But anyways, I get more motivation, I think, by people that I perceive that they think I'm going to fail or they want me to fail. Like, I called the president of my company and talked to him a while ago, and I could tell that was the way he talked to me. He's like,
interesting. Wow.
Yeah. And it was like, dude, go fuck yourself, dude. Like, you know what? Go suck a fucking bag of dicks. I got so mad at the end of the conversation, and he never said anything bad. It was just the tone of the conversation was like, because he said something to the effect of, he's like, well, what are you gonna do? And I was like, oh, I kind of want to focus on roofs. And he's like, well, maybe I'll get my roof done. Maybe you'll be your first customer. You know, blah blah blah. But it was just total bullshit. You know what I mean? And I was like, fuck you. I was like, I will work 3 times as hard now because of what you just said. Because to me, I'm gonna prove you wrong now. Like, fuck you. Like, and I was talking to I said that to someone the other day, and they're just like, dude, that's not a good way. You know, you got to be doing this for yourself, not to prove. And I was like, isn't any motivation a good motivation? You know what I mean? If I'm getting the motivation out of hate, isn't that a good motivation? You know what I mean? Like, to prove someone wrong.
Yeah, dude. I think that's what most like the giant successful people in this world have made it off of, almost.
Yeah.
All the nerds that were beat up in high school were like, fuck you, I'm gonna employ you someday. I'm gonna become a billionaire.
Yeah. So. But I really, it's about half the people I talk to. And it's kind of, I mean, whatever. It is what it is. I would be that way towards a lot of people. I would, be like, oh, good for you, man. Like, that's good job. But it is really infuriating being on the other side of that. It's like, you know what? Fuck you, man. Like, because to me, it's like, well, then that's what you think of me. You know what I mean? I'm getting a real clear view now of how you perceive me. That's how I feel about it. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's about half the people I talk to, you know? So it's I swear to God, half the people I talk to are incredibly supportive and almost like overly supportive. Like, dude, I got my brother is fucking papa looking for this. Like, hey, you should meet up. Let me text you, you know, blah, 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 blah. You know, there's half the people are like that. Like, hey, I know an accountant. Here, let me hook you up with an accountant. Or I know, you know, this is who my insurance is all through. Here, let me give you all this information, blah, blah, blah. And then the other half of it, like, I have one buddy who, like, kind of irritated me. He was like, oh shit, shit's about to fall over. Shit's about to go down. One buddy's just like, whatever. It's just I don't know, just irritating.
Yeah, I remember.
And it's funny to see.
The one of the last jobs I had with me and my buddy Casey, and we worked there, and he quit, and then like 2 months later I quit, and the owner kind of, when you quit, you got to talk to the owner, and I was just kind of like, the owner was kind of like that, you know, well, you know, hope it all works out, you know, I don't know, just kind of that kind of sort of energy. And I was just thinking to myself, like, dude, if you were in my shoes, you'd do the exact same thing. If you were in my shoes, you wouldn't work this job. Like, if that president was in your shoes, he might do the exact same thing as you and start his own fucking thing. So, I don't know. Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. It's a nutty experience, this whole thing, and
I think it's gonna work out.
I know I've set myself up by quitting the job. It was like, the way I've looked at the whole thing is like, I have to put myself in a situation where it's fucking do or die. You know what I mean? Like, because it's the only way I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? To where it's like, it's almost the same thing as like the Sandpoint thing, going to jail. You know what I mean? It was like, it's over. You know what I mean? Like, it's done. There's no, well, maybe there's no, you know, teeter-totter bullshit. It's like, this is it. You know what I mean? This is a line. Has to be done. I'm not relying, you know, and.
So you're going to buy a work truck?
I'm just going to use the truck I got, which isn't going to be suitable, but it'll be suitable enough. I can't be just fucking out spending a bunch of money. You know what I mean? Like I gotta work with what I got. The main
Just buy like a $70,000 brand new work truck.
yeah, okay. The
But
big
it's not like it's me starting a construction company thing or whatever. That's why I think it's gonna work out.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be hard,
Because
and
you already know the business.
yeah, but the big thing that I gotta learn is getting jobs, which that's a fucking huge part of it, and that is scary. But it's like it is what it is. You know what I mean? I am like I'm super fucking scared. I go through a fucking literally every other day. It goes from being incredibly confident to incredibly not confident, to incredibly confident, to incredibly not confident. And it almost seems like daytime to nighttime. It's just the sun, heat, I'm feeling good, and I'm just like, I fucking got this. This is gonna be easy. I got this. This is and then about 10 o'clock at night, I'm just sitting there just like, oh my God, like what the fuck? Like blah 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 blah.
Yeah. Well, I think that goes with any giant decision. Because every time I've been behind the wheel of a U-Haul, I've told myself, you are making a giant mistake right now. This is a terrible, terrible this thing that you're doing. But it's not. It's always a great decision.
Yeah, I mean, and that's like right now, sun's out, I'm in a good mood. I just look at it and it's like,
it's kind of
if I never try it, I will regret my entire, I already have that feeling. I've been saying for years. It's like, I want to be my own boss. Well, if this person and this person and this person can do it, why the fuck can't I do it? I think they're all retarded. So if they can do it, and if I never try, I have to try. And it's like, and I even in my own brain to myself, it's like, it's not try, this isn't trying, we are doing, you know what I mean? Like, cause I believe that too, kind of like like a, manifestation, you know what I mean? It's like, no, this isn't trying. This is, we're doing this. This is 100% the path we're going down. And it's like, yeah, it's going to be super hard. I understand that. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, and probably the first year, I ain't going to make shit for money. It's going to be super difficult. But it's like, that's how all these other people got shit set up. You have to start somewhere.
Yeah. No, it kind of seems like a staple too. Like when they tell you to buy stocks in companies, they say like buy stocks in things that are staples that don't, like the economy doesn't really affect them. They always say like CVS, like there'll always be old people that need prescriptions at CVS, buy stocks in that. It almost seems like that. Like everybody needs like their roof done every so often. People's roofs cave in all the time and have leaks and shit. It almost seems like a guaranteed thing. Like no matter what's going on, people need shit done in their house.
Well, and that's where absolutely. And I think, I mean, it's
certainly say the economy crashes, people aren't going to be like, let's get a whole new kitchen. But like, wear and tear on a house.
But there's certain things that are always going to be there. I was just seeing the business that opened in Portland, a non-alcoholic cocktail bar. And I was like, that's fucking retarded. That person is so stupid. Like that is not.
I'm interested. That's interesting.
It's not a good business plan. Like that is not a good business plan. But bars, like you open a bar, great business plan.
Yeah.
Tried and true. People drink. Doesn't matter if the economy's shit. Yeah. And honestly, the worse the economy is, the better a fucking bar does. So it's fucking foolproof. Construction, I do my theory on the whole construction thing. I mean, I'm locked in. This is my career. You know what I mean? It's done.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if I want to or not. I've spent too much time. We're here. This is what we're doing. And I'm happy with that. I can find joy in it. I've learned to love what I'm doing. Which I think you could kind of. I was listening to a PragerU thing about this. He had a whole argument about that. He's like, dude, stop being negative. He's like, you can find a love in anything you do. A little side deal. And now I've lost with construction, there may be a lot of competition, and that's the scary thing. Yeah. Is you just get on Google and it's just boom, 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 boom. So many construction companies, so many people doing exactly what I'm doing. But I really do feel like, one, I'm doing it in a highly populated area. There's a big pool, a huge pool to go off of. 1.5 million people. It's a lot of people. If you can't get 52 jobs in a year out of 1.5 million, I mean, come on. It doesn't matter that there's 100 companies out there doing it. There's a big pool. And there's a lot of rich people. You know, you have Intel, you have Nike. There's a lot of money, even though economy's shitty. Again, people need roofs. You know what I mean? But I am putting kind of bank on, dude, like craftsmanship is kind of a dying thing. And it really is. People have been saying that for like 10, 15 years. But like just looking at the new wave of kids that are getting into construction.
Yeah.
They don't want to do it. There's no love for it. There's zero work ethic. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think it's a pretty good gig. It's like, I think that my competition is just going to keep getting weeded out. You know what I mean? It's like all those old guys are going to, you know, how many of those companies am I seeing are those guys 60 years old?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A bunch of them. Fucking shitloads of them. So they can't do it forever. Who's replacing these companies? Either someone that's going to run this shit into the ground because they don't care. They have zero want to do anything. Because every kid I see that's 18, even up to my age, that's in their 30s, it's very few that actually want to do it. You know what I mean? Or have a drive to do it. I don't know. We'll see. I can tell it scares the shit out of Cheyenne, and rightfully so. She's being incredibly supportive. She's masking her scaredness, but I can tell she's very scared. And I get it. She has every right to be scared. You know, the person who pays for the roof over her head is, I'm going to quit my fucking job. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. That's justifiable, but being supportive is really good. That's a good sign.
I mean, I think, not to toot my own horn, but it's like the fact that I'm doing it, I'm capable of supporting. You know what I mean? I'm capable of making money. The fact that, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. Like, the fact that I'm doing it, you know, just, I'm like, to her, it's like, come on, we'll be fine. You know what I mean? I will never let this ship fail. You know what I mean? Like, worst comes to worst, we can make shit happen. You know what I mean? Like, if I got to go get a job somewhere else, you know, this shit's never going to fail. We'll have warning signs far before the fucking ship actually hits the ground.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah.
I kind of feel that same way. But, yeah.
About your own life?
Yeah, like, I'm capable of making money, and so the ship wouldn't fail.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. And you got to feel that way. And especially looking around at everyone around you, you know? Everyone sucks. So many people suck. So it's like, it's really not that hard to be above everybody else. You know, they all suck. Most people suck. Most people aren't good workers, you know, aren't good at anything. So it's like, it's really not that hard to be, you know, what's the unemployment rate? Even the employment rate hits 10%. It's like, you know, you ever think about that? The unemployment rate during the Great Depression was like really not that bad. Like that number, like you think back at I can't remember now. I looked it up at one point, but you think in history class, you're like, oh, the Great Depression, oh, blah, blah, blah. Then you look at the unemployment rate up and you're like, what? It's like, well, fuck. Then I just look around me now. It's like, I can be in the top 50% of the workforce. You know what I mean? Like, I can do that. So, fuck it. You know, fuck all there's a lot of shitty people out there. I can be better than 50% of the population, at least. To me, that's an easy goal to attain. I can be better than 50% of those people. So, I think we're good. You know what I mean? Like, we can.
Yeah, I just feel like I don't really have any skills. But I think the fact that, you know, you're capable of, you know, showing up, which I am. And I think also
50%. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just look. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because 50% of those people won't even show up anymore. So
right. So boom, there you go. Pretty valuable over here.
Boom.
But you have a skill, and I feel like I don't have any skills. Other than,
it's all relative.
Being able to work, I can work with anybody, and I'll show up. Like, my skills, I feel like, kind of fall into that category more as like a skill like construction. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, you could put me with the biggest dick in the country, and I can work with them.
You have a skill. I've never worked with you, but there's no way that. I think you're underestimating your skill set. I
don't know. I need someone to tell me what the fucking skills are, because I don't know. Anyway.
Boom. Rock and roll. Episode 81. Got anything else?
No, I have to pee really bad, and I'm going to keep cleaning. And you're going to be driving next weekend. Good luck.
So no episode 82, not for a little bit.
Fine with me.
Well, Erick and Brad Show at gmail.com. It was a great conversation. Love you guys. Until next time.
Music licensing reimagined.
I'm on the road, it's my time. Taking control of my life. I want to run the red lights. I've got to run this show. You always take me so high. You always make the highlights. I love the way we vibe. You're like a centerfold. Ooh, that sugar sweet. You got what I need. Sipping on the potion. All that good
Artlist.io.
just my kind of heat. Keep it on repeat. Tested by the motion. Loving is the potion. Ooh, that sugar.
Music licensing reimagined.
Make a move, baby, you got nothing to lose. Give me that, give me that, give me that good reaction. Gonna make it right, little like an offer I can't refuse. I'm on the road, it's my time. Taking control of my life. I want to run the red lights. I've got to run this show. You always take me so high. You always make the highlights. I love the way we
Artlist.io.
vibe. You're like a centerfold. Ooh, that sugar sweet. You got what I need. Sipping on the potion. All that good emotion. Just my kind of heat. Keep it on repeat. Tested by the motion. Loving
Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined.